Lenore. Ah, broken is the golden bowl, the spirit flown forever. Let the bell toll, a saintly soul floats on the Stygian river. And, Guy de Vere, hast thou no tear? Weep now, or never more? See, on yon drear and rigid bier low lies thy love, Lenore. Come, let the burial rite be read, the funeral song be sung, an anthem for the queenliest dead that ever died so young, a dirge for her the doubly dead in that she died so young. Wretches, ye loved her for her wealth and hated her for her pride, and when she fell in feeble health ye blessed her that she died. How shall the ritual then be read? The requiem how be sung? By you, by yours, the evil eye, by yours, the slanderous tongue, that did to death the innocent that died, and died so young. Peccavimus, but rave not thus, and let a Sabbath song go up to God so solemnly the dead may feel so wrong. The sweet Lenore hath gone before with hope that flew beside, leaving thee wild for the dear child that should have been thy bride. For her, the fair and debonair that now so lowly lies, the life upon her yellow hair, but not within her eyes, the life still there upon her hair, the death upon her eyes. Avaunt, tonight my heart is light, no dirge will I upraise, but waft the angel on her flight with a paean of old days. Let no bell toll, lest her sweet soul, amid its hallowed mirth, should catch the note as it doth float up from the damned earth. To friends above from fiends below, the indignant ghost is riven, from hell unto a high estate far up from within the heaven, from grief and groan to a golden throne beside the King of heaven. Ah, Lenore. Now, I have what I think may be a bit of a unique take on this poem. Perhaps, maybe not. But from what I could find online, what I have been told through years of studying literature, I don't know that this interpretation is out there, or at least is out there in as grandiose fashion as the common sort of interpretation, which I'm going to implore is a very lazy interpretation of this poem. So before we get into that, I think it would help. Normally, I do this for short stories and not poems to have a "so what happened" portion of this video, because this is a bit of a narrative poem. We're not making one point in this poem. There's a lot of stuff going on. So when we talk about Lenore the poem, what is happening on the page? This first stanza here, what we have happening is a young woman has died, and we are finding ourselves with a group of mourners. In that group of people mourning the deceased young woman is a man named Guy de Vere, or Guy de Vere. I will say Guy because that is how I've learned to say that name. Now, okay, we're just there at this point. But in this second stanza, what is happening is that, so in the first stanza, Guy is there and the other onlookers are asking him, why is he not crying? And Guy de Vere, hast thou no tear? Weep now or never more. See, on yon drear and rigid bier low lies thy love, Lenore. In this second stanza here, oh, I broke this up wrong, didn't I? In this second stanza here, Guy is lashing out, saying, "Screw you! You only grieve now uh, because Lenore was wealthy. You are angry now because you are grieving that she is gone because she is wealthy. She was wealthy. Now she's gone. She was your rich buddy. Now you don't have her. You're all fakes." And here in the third stanza, we have the speaker, the other speaker, saying, maybe you're right. Maybe there is some element of that in what we're doing. Maybe. But shouldn't we be here to grieve and celebrate the life of Lenore in the way that people congregate to grieve their way through song and condolences? Shouldn't we be sharing collective memories? Also, here is where we learn, should have been thy bride, that Guy was to marry Lenore. And then finally, in the fourth stanza, now here's something interesting. We do have some quotations here, some quotation marks, and these quotations are a little bit different depending on where you're finding the poem. But what we have here is usually assumed to once again be Guy, but we don't have the same type of quotation marks. The quotation marks that we have, well, here we do, I guess. In my version of this poem, we have this quotation mark and we have this quotation mark. Later, we have none of these quotation marks. So we are left to assume that this is from Guy de Vere, but in different, this is delineated differently depending on from whence you find this text. And here we are casting out these other people. Guy is saying, get out. He's saying, you don't belong here. He's angry. Guy is, and he's give me 1 second. I apologize. So we're assuming that in some of these texts, because Guy is answering the question, saying, why aren't the initial question, Guy, why are you not crying? And he answers, I'm not crying because from grief to groan to a golden throne beside the King of heaven, I'm not crying because I know where Lenore is. There is light in my heart tonight because, yes, Lenore is dead, but she is in heaven. She is away from you scourges of the earth. Now, just a couple things that are, so there's a couple different words in here that it may help to have sort of talked about. The Stygian River. Basically, this is the river Styx. Basically, this is the river that goes like to the underworld, kind of the river you cross when you die. Peccavimus. I am probably saying that 125% wrong. Basically, it is an admittance of guilt. I am guilty. The paean here, this is a song of triumph. Avaunt means get out. So that's what's going on there with those few word selections, word choices there that are a little bit different than sometimes you get. So here's the thing. Google this poem. I dare you. Go ahead and Google Poetry analysis Lenore. What is Lenore about? Lenore explained. Basically, anywhere that you go, you will have people explaining to you that this poem is about grief. This poem is about mourning. This poem is about the different way that people mourn. Okay, yeah, I mean, very on the nose. We have Guy here. I mean, sure, obviously, right? I'm not going to say that's wrong, but Guy here is very angry. These other people are saying, okay, look, maybe you're right. Maybe you are correct and we're just hangers on. Maybe you're right and we're only angry. We are only now sad because the rich lady is gone. Maybe that is the case. But even if it is, right here, right now, Pecavimus, even if that is the case, right here, right now, shouldn't we just be remembering Lenore? Surely you can agree with that. Those are two different ways of handling grief. Those are two different ways of mourning. But let me ask you this. Who are the people in this poem? We've got Guy, right? We've got Lenore. That's it. That's all we know. We have this unnamed mass of other people. This unnamed group that are, so we have, where are we? In this poem, in upon the question of others, we have at least two. How shall the ritual then be read? By you, by yours, the evil eye? That's one person. By yours, the evil eye. Probably this is a different person. Yours, the slanderous tongue. At least that's two others. But we get the sense, unless I'm mistaken, that there are many others than that. We get the sense that we're really at a funeral, we're at a wake, we're at one of these types of events where all of the friends and family are present because we get wretches. Wretches. You are wretches. Ye blessed her that she died. The many of you versus the one of me. But these masses, they remain nameless. We have Guy, we have Lenore, then we have the other. The other doesn't matter. The only people that matter are Guy and Lenore. And Lenore is gone. Lenore is gone. So Guy is alone. This poem is about loneliness. She, Lenore, was all that he had. And she's gone. Is that why he is so livid? He feels as if he were the only one who had adored her for who she was, not what she had. Is that what is going on here? He finds himself alone in the world, surrounded by others. It's pretty sad. It's pretty devastating, is it not? Further, however, it gets worse. Further, the question of fortune is raised. You only loved her because of her fortunes. You are hypocrites. You were hangers on. But we have to observe something there, don't we? You loved her for her fortunes. Okay, so she was maybe wealthy, well off, the daughter of rich people. Probably she was young, probably hadn't made her own fortune yet. But that's Lenore's fortune. These are Lenore's hangers on, not his. That was her fortune, not his. And we learned in this poem, should have been thy bride. They weren't hitched. They weren't married. They should have been. They were going to be, perhaps. Is that the implication of should? Or does the should mean that maybe Guy here did something to ruin that relationship? But we'll stick with the interpretation that they were to be married eventually. They weren't married. That fortune is not his. Is it possible? You've heard the term married up, right? Someone who sometimes it's used in terms of looks, but often when you use the term married up, it is that someone has exceeded their station in life. That is to say, someone from a lower class household has married into a middle class household, or middle class into upper class, or even lower class all the way to upper class. Guy married up, something rare in the financial terms for men. It is rare that a man marries up in station. It was very rare way back in Edgar Allan Poe's times. And then they never even got married. Is it possible that he missed out on assuming stations in life, and now he's surrounded by all of her friends? Friends who never liked him. Friends and family who never liked him. Friends and family who were always in Lenore's ear telling her, you can do better than this chump. He has nothing. He's marrying into your wealth. Is that why he is so angry? He knows that none of them like him, so now he does not like them. But we have one other question we have to ask if this is the case. When he tells them that they are wretches, you loved her for her wealth and hated her for her pride. You loved her for her riches. Now, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because if they're her friends, probably they were in her social circles. She was in their social circles, meaning oftentimes social circles are defined mostly by your class, aren't they? So if they were her friends, probably they had the same type of money. Probably they had the same types of life. Probably they were from the same types of families as was Lenore. So, this angry fella castigating them, you wretches. You only loved her for her wealth and hated her for her pride. You loved her for her money, but you, who were her friends, probably had the same kind of money that she did. But old Guy probably did not. So, in this line here, wretches, ye loved her for her wealth and hated her for her pride. Methinks the Gie doth protest too much. What if old Gie here is actually projecting on these friends? It was Gie who loved her for her money. And when she died before he could marry her, the promise of that money was gone. So now he's left holding an empty bag. He has nothing. But her friends still do. Is it possible that this poem is all a ruse from Guy? Is it possible? Guy, being the speaker, the only one with quotations, the only one who's an actual speaker owning part of the poem, is it possible that he's pulling the wool over our eyes? Is it possible that he is the one who is angry because she's gone? Everyone else that is speaking, the nameless herd, the nameless masses, the other in this poem, they all seem to be fairly calm, even willing, if it is in order to shut him up, even willing to say, I am guilty as charged. Maybe there is some amount of this, what you're accusing me of. Maybe there is some bit of that of which I am guilty. Maybe. Sure, but shouldn't we be here remembering Lenore for who she was? Shouldn't we be here remembering Lenore and celebrating the life that she had? Why are you so angry? Are you so angry because you lost everything? Your promise of a better life. Now, that is undoubtedly true, but is it undoubtedly true for the noble reason that Lenore was his entire world? Or is it true for the not so noble reason that he was after her money and is projecting on them when he says, you only loved her. You only loved her, you wretches, for her money. I like that. That is all I have time for with Lenore here. This is part of a playlist on the channel with Edgar Allan Poe. This is part of October here. And if you enjoy or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting the like button really does help me out on the channel, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button, because literature is all I do on this channel. There's poetry every Monday. There will eventually be non-Edgar Allan Poe poetry, but through October, it will be all Poe except on Saturdays, where we will have a little bit of Bukowski, but there will be uploads all through the month, and I hope to have you back for the next one.